Hey there, let's talk about a move that could shake things up for our Cowboys. There's buzz about a potential signing, and this one's got people talking: Emmanuel Forbes. If you're scratching your head wondering, wait, isn't he that first-round pick from the Commanders? You're absolutely right, but now he's available, and the question is, should Dallas take a chance on him? Before we dive in, let me quickly remind you of something. If you're enjoying these updates and want to stay in the loop with everything Cowboys, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. We're on a mission to reach 12,000 subscribers, and with your help, we'll get there in no time. Now, back to Forbes. At just 23 years old, he's what some might call a diamond in the rough, a player with immense potential, but still waiting for the right circumstances to shine. Dallas, with its winning culture and incredible coaching staff, could be the perfect place for him to find his footing. What do you think? Should the Cowboys even consider adding him to the roster, or is it a risk we don't need right now? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Oh, and here's a quick poll for you. Do you believe in giving a second chance to a former first-round pick? Type yes or nitrogen monoxide below. Speaking of risks and rewards, let's take a closer look at who Emmanuel Forbes really is, shall we? So who exactly is Emmanuel Forbes, and why is he making headlines in Cowboys Nation? Let me give you the scoop. Forbes was a first-round pick for the Washington Commanders in 2023. Known for his blazing speed, he clocked an impressive 4.35 at the combine and incredible ball skills. He seemed like a no-brainer for them at the time. But sometimes things just don't pan out the way teams hope. At 6'1" and just 166 pounds, Forbes is, well, let's call it lightweight for the NFL. That's been his biggest challenge so far. He's struggled with physicality and open field tackling, which, as you know, is crucial at this level. But here's the thing: his football instincts are off the charts. We're talking elite ball production, coverage versatility, and a knack for being in the right place at the right time. Now, some might say the Commanders gave up on him too soon. At only 23 years old, he's barely scratched the surface of what he could become. And honestly, doesn't Dallas have a knack for turning raw talent into polished stars? Look at what we've done with guys like Trevin Diggs. It makes you wonder, could Forbes thrive here under the guidance of someone like Al Harris? What's your take? Would you gamble on someone with Forbes' raw potential? Maybe you're thinking, we've already got solid guys in Bland, Diggs, and Lewis. Why bother? Or maybe you're intrigued by the idea of adding depth to our defense. Let's settle this with a vote. Would you take a flyer on Emmanuel Forbes? Type A for absolutely or B for better not. Alright, now that you know who he is, let's dig deeper. Why might the Cowboys be the perfect place for him to finally reach his potential? Let's explore that next. Alright, now let's talk about why Dallas might just be the perfect place for Emmanuel Forbes to turn things around. Picture this: a 23-year-old former first-round pick with blazing speed and elite ball skills walking into a defensive system masterminded by Dan Quinn and refined by Al Harris, one of the best defensive back coaches in the league. Sounds promising, right? Here's the thing: Dallas has a track record of developing players who didn't quite hit their stride elsewhere. Take Jonathan Mingo, for example. When he arrived, there were questions about his potential, but now we're starting to see flashes of what he can do. Imagine what that kind of coaching and culture could do for a player like Forbes. The challenges are clear. Forbes needs to bulk up and improve his tackling. But let's not forget, these are fixable issues. With the Cowboys' resources, strength training programs, and mentorship from experienced players like Trevin Diggs and Darren Bland, there's every chance Forbes could grow into a solid contributor. And hey, who wouldn't want to learn from a unit that's known for producing turnovers and making game-changing plays? Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Is this a gamble? Absolutely. But it's a low-cost gamble with potentially high rewards. Forbes isn't just any player. He's someone who was once projected to have a bright NFL future, sometimes all a Guy needs is the right environment and the right people around him. So let me throw this question your way. If the Cowboys can get Forbes for next to nothing, is it worth taking the chance? Let me know in the comments. And here's a quick survey. Do you believe coaching can unlock a player's full potential? Vote Y for yes or N for no. It's easy to focus on the risks, but what about the potential payoff? Let's shift gears and see how Forbes could fit into the current Cowboys roster and impact the team's dynamics. Now, let's imagine for a moment that Emmanuel Forbes joins the Cowboys. Where does he fit in, and how could he impact the team's performance? First off, depth in the secondary is always a good thing. Injuries have plagued our cornerbacks this season, and having someone like Forbes as a backup or even as a developmental piece could be a game changer. Think about it. The ability to rotate in a player with elite ball hawking skills could give opposing quarterbacks nightmares. Forbes wouldn't have to shoulder the burden of being the guy right away. With Trevin Diggs, Darren Bland, and Jordan Lewis leading the charge, he'd have the time and space to learn and grow. Imagine him lining up in nickel packages or stepping in during critical moments to make those game-saving plays. And let's not forget his knack for pick sixes, something Dallas thrives on. Adding that kind of playmaking ability to an already aggressive defense? That's exciting. Of course, Forbes has some areas to work on, like tackling and handling the physicality of NFL receivers. But let's be real, these aren't new issues for the Cowboys defense. Aside from Micah Parsons and a few others, tackling has been a weak point for us. This is where the coaching staff, especially Al Harris, can step in and help Forbes refine his game. Now, some might argue that our defense is already strong and that we don't need another cornerback. But here's a question for you. Can a team ever have too much talent? In the secondary, let me know what you think in the comments. And here's a fun vote for you. If Forbes joined the team, where do you think he'd contribute the most? A nickel corner, B, backup depth, or C, special teams? Forbes is far from a guaranteed success, but the potential upside is hard to ignore. Speaking of risks and rewards, let's discuss the broader implications of taking this chance. Is this a move that aligns with Dallas' strategy? Let's unpack that next. Taking a chance on Emmanuel Forbes is a classic high-risk, high-reward situation. On one hand, you're looking at a former first-round pick with undeniable talent. On the other, you're taking a gamble on a player who hasn't yet proven he can handle the physical demands of the NFL. So, the big question is, does this move align with the Cowboys' long-term strategy? Let's break it down. The Cowboys have been known for making calculated moves in recent years. They rarely swing for the fences without a plan in place. Adding Forbes would be a low-cost move with the potential for a big payoff. He wouldn't come in to fill a glaring hole. Our secondary is solid, but as a developmental player, he could bring value down the road. Think about it. Forbes is just 23. With proper coaching and a few tweaks to his game, he could blossom into a reliable player. And considering how injuries can derail a season, having depth at a position as critical as cornerback is always a smart play. Of course, there's always the risk that Forbes doesn't pan out. But let's put this into perspective. How often does a former first-round pick, with his speed and skill set, become available for essentially nothing? It's rare, and sometimes the best teams are the ones willing to take a chance when the upside outweighs the downside. What do you think? Is this the kind of move that fits the Cowboys' strategy, or should they focus on more pressing needs? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and here's another poll for you. Do you think Dallas should prioritize developing young talent or stick with proven veterans? Vote D for development or V for veterans. Alright, we've looked at the player, the potential, and the risks. Now, let's tie everything together and figure out what this could mean for the Cowboys' future. So, what does taking a chance on Emmanuel Forbes really mean for the future of the Dallas Cowboys? It's about more than just adding another name to the roster. It's a statement about how this team approaches talent, risk, and opportunity. By bringing in Forbes, the Cowboys would be signaling their belief in the power of development and coaching. It's a testament to the idea that raw talent, when placed in the right system, can evolve into something special. With Dan Quinn's defensive genius and All-Hair's reputation as one of the best secondary coaches in the league, Forbes could be the next success story in a growing list of reclamation projects for Dallas. But there's also a strategic angle here. Adding Forbes could provide insurance for a position group that has dealt with its fair share of injuries. Plus, it keeps the Cowboys competitive and forward-thinking, always looking for ways to improve the roster without mortgaging the future. Looking ahead, moves like this could redefine how the Cowboys are viewed around the league. It shows that they're not afraid to take calculated risks, even on players who've struggled elsewhere. And let's be real, if Forbes does pan out, it would feel especially sweet to see him succeed wearing the star, especially knowing he came from a division rival. Now, let's turn it back to you. What's your verdict? Should the Cowboys take a chance on Emmanuel Forbes? Let's hear your final thoughts in the comments. And here's a closing poll. Do you think the Cowboys are doing enough to prepare for the future? A yes, they're making smart moves, or B, no, they need to take more risks. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and enable that notification bell. Every subscription helps us grow and keeps you in the loop with daily Cowboys updates. Let's hit that 12,000 subscriber goal together. Alright, that wraps up today's breakdown. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you in the comments, and as always, go Cowboys!